Hello guys, so let's talk about mining. If you think back to our example about the blockchain warehouse, there we were talking about these warehouse workers trying to stack these boxes on top of each other. And while they are doing that, they are trying to find this perfect fit, so that one box is exactly on top of the other one. And a lot of miners are doing this, or a lot of warehouse workers are doing this at the same time. And the first one who was able to find this perfect fit, this nonce, he will get a payout. So he will get the block reward, he will get some money for that. Now some facts of Bitcoin mining. So Bitcoin uses a so-called proof of work. So that's the consensus, where miners with a lot of hashing power benefit from. So proof of work is based on CPU power in Bitcoin's example. So they have to show that they have a lot of CPU power and that they can solve this hashing quick. And block time in Bitcoin is 10 minutes average. So every 10 minutes a new block is generated, a new block is added to the blockchain. And the mining difficulty level increases over time or decreases depending on how much miners are in the network. So the mining difficulty changes every 2016th block, and this is like every 2 weeks. So this changes depending on how much miners are there. If there are a lot of miners working on Bitcoin, then it gets increased, so it's harder to mine. And if there are less, then it's getting decreased and more miners are able to mine on Bitcoin network. Then we have also a so-called block reward halving, happens every 210,000 blocks. So every 4 years. Every 4 years the block reward is halved. So block reward means the payout that the miner got. So we had it like it was on 50 bitcoins. 50 bitcoins was the starting point, then it was reduced to 25, and every 4 years it gets decreased again. So how does mining work now? What's now the mining itself? So we go step by step. So first thing is the content of the block. So the block gets hashed. So we hash the complete content of the block. Then we try to find this nonce. So the miner tries to find this random string, so a random number or something like this. He tries to find that and add it to this hash. And this is done by brute forcing strategy. This means miner is just trying random numbers, random strings. He's trying to add something there, like a lottery. So nothing really special, just trying out different combinations until the first one fits perfect. And this is then hashed again, so both of them are hashed again and compared with a mining difficulty level. This is the mining difficulty level we talked that changes every 2 weeks. So it's compared with that if it's lower than that. And the mining difficulty has some zeros in front. So this is some number and has some zeros in front. And the more zeros in front are, the smaller this number is, and the harder it is to find the correct number that is less than that. So this is how this mining difficulty works. It has a lot of zeros in front, and if it has more, it's harder to find it, and if less, then it's easier. And if then we found a number that is less than that, it gets added to the chain. So this is when actually the miner found the block. So he is able to add it to the blockchain. And the miner gets then rewarded with bitcoins. So he gets currently 12.5 BTC, so Bitcoin, plus some transaction fees. So all these transactions he put in the block, he gets the fee out of it. What is the COINBASE transaction now? The COINBASE transaction is now this where the miner gets the money, so for doing the work. This is a special transaction inside the block on top, so it's the first transaction there. It it's only created by the miner. It has no input values, so no input transactions, only output ones, and the output to the miner. And this is actually the mining reward. So what the miner gets plus the fees that people paid in this block. What are mining pools now? Mining pools are, it's like this, that if you try to mine as a private person, it's most of the time too expensive. You're not getting any benefit out of it. You're more losing money than getting some. And the reasons are actually electricity costs. So it's much more expensive because of electricity costs. The hardware that you need, these ASIC miners that are currently used, they are too expensive sometimes, and so on and so on. And that's why a lot of people join mining pools. These are a connection of multiple computers over the internet working together to find these nonce, so they have a bigger hash rate. And that's a mining pool actually. So a lot of computers together. And they then share this block reward and the transaction fees. So this 12.5 bitcoins currently with all transaction fees that are paid, this is then, if a mining pool finds that, they take it and then they split it up to all the members of this community. The issue here is a lot of these mining pools are centralized, so they're getting less and less mining pools, and they are growing and growing. So we have only some of them, some mining pools, not a lot, that have a lot of power. And also another issue is here that one country like China has really cheap electricity, and that's why a lot of miners are actually located in China. Around 80% of all miners are in China. So this is also somehow centralized to a country, because most of the miners are in China. And some of the biggest mining pools currently are btc.com, Antpool, via BTC, and Slush. So there are a lot of different ones, but only some bigger ones. Now let's talk about the Orphan Blocks. We already talked about Orphan Blocks before, but it makes sense now to talk about this again because it depends on this mining. So this is actually a block that is not added to the main chain, so it's not going in the longest chain, and even if it was valid. So even if this block was valid, it didn't went inside the longest chain. The reason for that is because two miners found simultaneously a block that is totally correct, but only one get added. Makes sense. And that's depending on who gets in first in the longest chain. And yeah, so this is the issue here, that sometimes we have these orphan blocks that don't get added to the main chain. And all transactions inside this block get then later on back in the mempool. So they're not lost, they're just going back to the mempool. Link for the orphaned blocks, if you want to check them out, is also inside the presentation. Then, is mining still profitable now? It depends. So what is actually important for miner? For miner, it's important to have this ASIC hardware, for example. This ASIC hardware is actually, it has the purpose to solve this hashing as quick as possible. So it has a higher hash rate than normal CPU or graphic card or so on. Then also the block reward halving is also important for a miner, because this happens every 4 years, and in my opinion it kicks out small miners and makes the system more centralized. But if the block reward is, if Bitcoin itself, the value of it is increasing the market, then maybe it's not that bad. But it's still, if it gets reduced and the price is staying the same level, then this will kick out some miners, for example, some smaller ones that cannot hold with the profit and this price and so on anymore. Mining difficulty level is also important. This changes every 2 weeks, like we said, and it depends on all the miners on the network. So if there are a lot of miners mining for Bitcoin, for Bitcoin network, then the difficulty is getting increased and a lot of miners will get kicked out, some smaller ones. And if it's decreasing again, then you can join and you maybe have more profit out of it. So this is some kind of balance of this concept. And electricity cost is also a big part. So electricity cost is really important. I added some links to some websites, some mining profit calculator where you can check out. You can find out for yourself. You put in, for example, the electricity cost you have, the hardware you had to buy, so how much this all was together, and then they will calculate you over years how much money you will make or how much money you will lose. Most of the time you will lose because it's not profitable for one person anymore. It's better to join a pool, for example, a mining pool. And also some hash rate stats, everything in the links. Now, what's the 51% attack? That's also talked about a lot. Actually, it does not mean that we need 51% to do this attack. It can be even less, but it's getting easier if you have more than, so if you have 51% and so on. And a bad miner, for example, has now more hashing rate than the rest of the network. So he has 51%. This is a bad miner, he has more hashing power. And currently, if you look at the stats from the links and so on, we have 3 mining pools together that have more than 50%. So they have more than 50% of the hashing rate of the complete Bitcoin network. So this is getting somehow centralized. And this 51 attack, if already happened, at some altcoins, so some other cryptocurrencies, they already faced this attack, and it's a really bad attack. So if this happens, a lot of stuff will break, because an attacker, for example, could then take all block rewards, so he gets all this money that miners don't get anymore. He can block transactions, so no transactions can go inside the blockchain. He can change transactions and so on. So really bad attack. But the good thing here is with Bitcoin, if the network grows and a lot of people are using it, the hash rate is growing, so it's getting more and more expensive to start this attack, because you need more hashing power than others on the network, and if the network already has a lot of hashing power, it's too expensive to do this attack, to start this kind of attack. So it's really it's a low risk currently, but it still can happen. So thank you.